Okay, so in the last session, I think we checked about the port configuration, right? So how we can dynamically change the port numbers, and then we can start applying them on our what do you say worker nodes. Now today we'll see how you can use some dynamic things to get started working with. So the last module we saw was copy module. Now what this copy module was doing, it was taking the content and it was exactly pasting it in whatever the worker node you want. So I said update it in N1, so it went and updated it in N1. Now I'll take a similar kind of scenario to make you understand how to work with the dynamic things. So static and dynamic things would be there. If you know dynamic things, then you can use the concept called as variables. We'll take an example. So first, it only makes sense once you see it practically. So first, let me get started, guys, here. Now, what I'll do is, okay, let's say copy 08 and I'll call it as 09 static.yml. Okay, I'm going to create a playbook which creates the static resources. You see what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to update the things on N1. So we know that's the address. I think we ran it on 1990, right? Not sure what is the port number. Let me just check. Yeah. 8080. Okay. So in the last session, we completed the task with 8080. Right? Okay. Now in this, I'm looking for a page called static.html. So this file is not available. So now I'm going to start creating and start doing the work. Here in this particular, what do you say, N1 server, I need to have the file called static.html. This playbook, which I created right now, it is supposed to create the file called static.html by taking some template from our machine. So I'm creating this static.html file in my local path, in my workstation. I'll keep some content here, guys, like watch. The current operating system. Current host name. Getting the point is, now I'm going to make the changes. Now I want this file content to be updated from this page. Then what I'll do, I'll go to my 9th playbook. What is my source file? Destination should be getting the point. So this page should be updated there. Okay, fine. I'll save the changes. And now I'll apply these changes. And okay, let me just check what is N2 server. So both are CentOS. I think I deleted those. Fine, no problem. We can just check it, not a problem. For timing, I'll go ahead and update it in the only N1 server. So I'll say Ansible hyphen playbook, then start executing this 9th playbook. Right? Okay. But now my goal is this operating system should be fetched from the instance and should be updated. Are you getting the point? Is if I hard code it, that will be hard coded value. Variable means, you know, right? It's changes. The purpose of variable is you hold some value inside it. Now what I'm saying is, instead of going with these static things, I want the dynamic things to be coming inside this particular thing. Meaning what? If I run it on CentOS machine, it should take CentOS and start updating it. If I run it on Ubuntu, it should start updating Ubuntu. Host name also similar. Then in that scenario, we can't use this thing called as copy module. Copy module, it just blindly copies the content, updates. Then, in case you want to do some kind of dynamic processing, so there is something called like template module. This template module, it uses something called like Jinja template engine or Jinja template language. Right? What is the meaning of that? Ansible facts. In the last part, I showed you Ansible underscore distribution. Similarly, Ansible underscore OS underscore family. These values where they are coming from is they are coming from your what you say Ansible facts. You remember we use this setup module. Ansible all, which are basically N1 and N2, then hyphen M setup module. This will pick up all the information and it will show us it. So let's say OS underscore family. It's saying Red Hat. Why? Because both the machines are same. But similarly, you can say this will be differentiated. For node 1, host name will be different. For node 2, host name will be different. Two different IPs. Now I am saying this values should be dynamically fetched and it should be placed. In that scenario, you can't use copy modules. Are you getting the point? Is now I'll show you. Or what you can even use this one also. Ansible underscore, in the last session we used it. Distribution. Now what I'll do is I'll make a slight change in my static file. Instead of these dashes, so any value that you're calling Ansible facts, right? So generally they will be represented in this double braces. I'll do the same thing. correct? Ansible underscore distribution. Similarly, Ansible underscore hosting. Now I saved this change. Now I'll reapply the playbook once again. Got changed. What it did, it randomly copied and pasted. That's what the difference between copy module and template modules. Template module, it will render these values. You see now what I'm going to do is, see, same thing. Ansible built-in template module, it takes the same thing, source and destination. But source file should be what? Jinja template, meaning the file will be with the extension called .j2. In that, you will generally go ahead and keep these kind of things, the double braces and all that. Now, in order to make you understand, I'll make copies of it. We had static.html, right? Copy. As I made copy, will there be any difference in the content? Both are exactly same, right? There is no difference at all. Now, what is our playbook? 9th playbook, right? Dynamic.yml file. And you're pretty much sure from the content point of view, there is no difference. Both are same, correct? Now this time I'm going to do some modifications. Where? On my 10th playbook. This time, to make you understand, I'll use N2 server. Or if not, no need. Yeah, maybe I'll go with N1 server only. Better, I'll say all, so that you can differentiate the host names. N1 has a different host name, N2 has a different host name, so that you can see the difference actually, right? Okay. Now I'll say ensure static file got updated. I'll use the same thing. Copy module, static.html, static.html. Same way, ensure dynamic file is updated. But I'm not going to use the module called as copy module. This time I'll be using source file should be read the J2 file, update it with respect to something called like dynamic.html. Now let's go ahead and check and save this. Obviously, resource is not found. Why? Because we did not run the playbook. Now we are running the 10th playbook. Now it said got updated the changes. Now you see the differences. Content wise, there was not change, only I changed the module. There it was copy module, here it is template module. It identified that OS is this one. It identified the node is this one, so it ran it here. Take the node 2 and verify. Maybe I did not install it, node 2. Let me just check. Ansible into command module. Achha, it is running on port number 9090. So I need to make sure that SC Linux part is updated, right? So it did not update of it. So what I'll do is, which one? This one, right? Port config. Both N1 and N2 will be taken into consideration. Now N2 will also be running with the exact same thing. Now let's verify. This is node 2, but from node 2, dynamic file should get a different content. See the address, node 2 address. Did you get the point? Is so using templates, you can dynamically get the things done. Now, why did I show you this? Because earlier, what to change the port numbers, we are going into files and doing it. But every time going and modifying the file will be a complicated thing, right? Instead, you can directly maintain these values as variables. If you want to use variables, templates is mandatory. That's the reason why first I showed you templates, so that you can apply your own custom variables using the same particular concept. Now, my goal here is, let me show you what I'm trying to do next. Okay, this dynamic file, right? Or let's say this 9.1 which we took here. I'm going to make some small changes. Vim static dot j2. Okay. But there is no such thing called as username in the setup. Are you getting the point? Is I wrote their username, but there is no such thing called as username from the setup point of Ansible all -m setup module grep exactly the word called username. There is no such thing called as username. Now I updated that where in this. So this is not found. Now I'll try to apply the same playbook and let's see what happens. Sorry, not port config. dynamic dot YAML. Okay. Did you get the point is? What did it say? Both on N1 and N2? The element or basically the thing called username you're looking for is not defined here. Meaning what? The things which you saw, Ansible underscore host name, Ansible underscore distribution, right? These are already predefined things. But sometimes what you want to give your own input to make your own decisions, that's where custom things are required, right? Those are basically called as variables. Did you get the point is? Now I want to define my own variables. Now in that particular scenario, how we are going to work? Then you got something called like variables section. So within your playbooks, you can define your own variables and give your own custom variables to go and work with. How am I going to do that? Now let me show you the same thing. This time I'll say copy this 10th playbook. -variables.yml file. In this, now I'm going to start design, adding some kind of variables here. How you add variables is very simple. You'll add a section called as vars. These are custom variables. Variables, you can pass them as key value pairs. What is the thing we define? Define the value. Now I'll save this part. Now we know this 11th playbook already has the variable called username defined inside it with the following value. Error that we got previously was what it says, this thing is not defined in the first place. That's the reason why we got the issue. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to run the 11th playbook, which contains a variable called username Ravi, which will be dynamically called from the setup. Now you see, I didn't get any kind of error. So I hope you are getting the logic. Now what I'm trying to say is, I don't need to rely on every time going and changing the things, where in the playbooks and all that part. So you have some content. I need to go to the content file and update every time, right? Instead, I want to use the values in the playbook itself. I'll show you one example, don't worry. Now what changing is very easy. Now I don't need to modify the content, right? See guys, there are two things. Content is coming from here. Now, do I need to modify it here every time? No need, right? I'll simply say what? Open my 11th playbook. This time, some other user is running it. Now, imagine the same example. I want to change the port. Every time I change the port, where I need to update? Now I'm saying the things which you change on regular basis, you keep them in the variables format. This one, which I used this 8th playbook, okay, let's say 12th one, right? Okay. Copy 08 12 hyphen dynamic hyphen port dot YML. Okay, I'm just making the copy of it. Sorry, 12 though. Okay. Now we know both the content is same. Or simply, is there anything that mentioned related to port here? No, right? I need to go to this file and start doing it. And isn't it only one time you're going to change? Maybe every time there is a requirement change, you might change it. So it often changes. Now I'm saying I want to add the port in my playbook here as variable port. If I update the port here, this thing should get targeted. Are you getting the point? Yes. That's where you can apply the custom variables example. Clear? Did you get the point? So rather than going and modifying there, I'm going to include these particular changes directly inside my, what is a playbook itself. Now what I need to do is I need to do the conversion. Why? Because which module I used here? Copy is always static copy. But if I want to use variables and all this, can I rely on it? No. We need template module. And template module needs what? Jinja template, J2 files. Now you see what I'm going to do is are you getting the point is? Now we got a Jinja template. I'm using this Jinja template. All these are unnecessary things. It's up to you. So you can keep only what you want, right? So all these comments, I'm just removing it off. Now, instead of saying listen 8080, which is hard coded value, right? Variable means which changes often. Listen. I hope you guys got what I'm trying to do. I kept it in the Jinja template. I defined what? HTTP underscore port. I'll copy that. Now, I'll open my dynamic port configuration. And my source is and destination, yes. But now we need to pass the value. Did you get the point? Is now I'll say we'll make the changes. It will read the variable from our playbook, goes to the Jinja template, looks that variable, replaces it dynamically. Getting the point is? Now obviously this site will not load on 8080. Another advantage what now, there is a quick requirement that says that the site would run on 7777. Now what I'll do is, you see how simple it's going to be. This is a playbook. It takes a variable. -E stands for variable, environment variable. Now this will be dynamically replaced and gets updated whenever you want to quickly do something. Like, it's not good practice. Generally, we'll keep it in the code and all that. But I'm just explaining you. If you want to check something very quickly, you can go ahead and do this. That's why I'm showing it. Now you check it. That's what the use of environment variable is, correct? Can quickly change the value and update it. That's what we basically did. But like generally, if you are looking from versioning and all that part, you generally where you need to modify rather than going into the file and modifying it. I'll simply say all the variables which are required for me, I'll keep it in this place and I'll start updating it. Not only this, guys, you can keep everything in the variable format. Document root, port numbers, port configuration, everything you just go ahead and keep it there. And then it becomes a lot easier to go ahead and do the work for you. Clear is? So this is what you guys need to be aware when it comes to your ports also. Now, fine, looks good. There is one more particular concept. Now you got to know variables, right? There is one more thing called as handlers. That is also one of the important concepts. I'll demonstrate one example using handlers. We'll talk about a concept called as handlers. Just a second. Catch. Okay, I'll take this example. Copy my 10th playbook. And I'll say 13 hyphen. Okay. I want to run some date page. Just a second. 13 and dynamic coach catch. Okay, so you can see here, I'll take this task. This part we already saw, how to change the configuration, restart the things. Now here I'll say I'm looking for a file called date.php. Module, I'm going with this copy module. Yes, I want copy only. Save the change. So there is no date.html, PHP file. Not found. I'm gonna get some code. This piece of code is responsible for displaying this. That's some PHP code. Did you get the point? Is what I'm trying to. I'm just taking the piece of code which is date.php. I'm updating it here. I saved it. And according to our playbook called 13th, it's already there. That should be updated in the following path. Okay. Now let's try to run our 13th playbook. Now here as port 9090 is there, so it will override the 7070. Did you get the point? So in the code part, it's 9090, or if not, again, you need to say -e equal to environment variable and specify that. But fine, I'm interested. I'm just going to look it for port 9090. Okay, right. So for now, I'll say run our playbook called, sorry. Sorry. It's not PHP file, right? Move 13date.php to YAML file, right? Okay. Now I'll say Ansible-playbook, then the 13th playbook. Got updated. But you see the output in comparison to this output. So it's not rendering the content. Did you get the point? Is why it is not rendering it? Sorry. Simple. You are running some Java code. It will get only executed if Java is installed. You're running Angular code. It will only get executed if Angular is installed. Now on the machine that I'm looking for, it is PHP installed. No, right? There is no PHP present on the nodes. So that's the reason why it does not know how to read those tags. Then what, as a measure, you might go ahead and start installing PHP. Fine, I'll do it. I hope you're getting the point why it is not working. Or if not, I'll connect to node 2 and I'll show it to you. Node 2. I'll take manual, I'll show it in the node 2 how it works. It is 242.255. This one. So if I say 9090 slash date.php, shows the same thing. Here, why it is not working is there is no PHP, but we are sure that content is there. Right? Okay. Now what I'll do, sudo manually I'm performing it. PHP got installed. PHP is rendering. I mean, like it's basically running up. It does not select command not found. I'll say Control D. It will come out. Now I'll try to check if this works. Still no luck. Reason because if you install any new thing, it should be restarted, then only it picks up into the picture. Now I restarted it. Get the point? Exactly same thing. Now I want to put it in the playbook format. What I'll do, I'll get back to my workstation. That's the playbook. After this is done, the first thing that I need to do is right. And once this part is done, what needs to be done? Again, restart. We already defined it. Let's see, let present. Achha. Right? Yes. Where did I wrote present then? I did not write it. I did not write it. N2 already it's updated. Why? Because we installed earlier. N1 is also updated. It got changed. Now you go and check the thing. Earlier it was not working. Now the problem is, fine, we got the goal done there. I'll run this playbook once again. Did I modify any of the code with the HTTPD configuration? PHP is already installed. Code is also updated. But still, what happened here? In my task, there are some specific scenarios where my Apache should be restarted. Not only Apache, any service needs to be restarted when some changes happen. Here, did I do any of those changes? But here, unwantedly, Apache got restarted. Are you getting the point, guys? Now, in what scenarios we want to restart it? If there are some changes, some installations, some configurations that you made. At that point of time, I want it to be restarted. Then we have a concept called as handler. running operations when something changes. If my Apache configuration file is changed, then restart should happen. Makes sense. If there is no change in the configuration, why are you unnecessarily going and running the things? It works fine, but it's not a good practice. In this scenario, if I don't perform any changes, there should not be anything changed. This can be avoided by using a concept called as what? Handlers. There is no difference, guys. Handler is also a task, but it is just a special task. That line is exactly what we are trying to do. If there is no change in the configuration, if there is unchanged, then why are you restarting? Does not make sense. I'll go to this place. Isn't it almost similar, guys, what we did there? Names are different, but you can get the concept. It's the same Jinja file that you're trying to modify. When I do that, you see now what they're doing, they're using a new word, notify, and what they're saying, this restart HTTPD so the thing that you're trying to restart, right? You go ahead and you keep it where? Under handlers. So handlers are also nothing but special tasks, but these tasks will only get invoked by notify. That too, if there is a change. Did you get the point, guys? If I'm making the change, then only it should get going up. If not, it's not required to run it. Now you see how am I going to modify my playbook this time? So this is the one which we went with, right? Now I'll say copy this 13th playbook as 14. Handler.yml. Now one of the advantages, so it's up to you guys. You can write the handler at the end or at the bottom. It's up to you. You can go with. Now here I mentioned HTTPD twice, restarting. Now you can also avoid the redundant code. Do I need this once again? No, I'm deleting that off. Here, this restart HTTPD is there, right? So generally I'll keep everything at the top. So I'm just copying it. I'll keep it here, guys. Handlers. That's my handler. Name is important, so it's up to you. I'll just say the name is restart. So if you want it to be much more unique, you can say something like HTTP. Restart HTTP. And you already have your handler and the task defined in the handler parts. This is the handler name. I'll copy that. Now, when and when the restart should happen? If my configuration file is modified, then it should be called. So what I'll do is notify. How he said notify the handler name. So whenever configuration file is changed, then only run this. Same way, only when PHP is installed, then run it. Now you see, I'm reusing it multiple times. Now let's apply this playbook and see. So I hope now you got the differentiation. So if I run the 13th playbook, what the problem is? So unnecessarily, it will restart the things. There is no configuration change, yet it restarted HTTPD. There is no PHP installed, yet it restarted HTTP. Now do the same thing with our 14th playbook. Why this time it restarted? Because I modified the port configuration. You see here, this time the port is different, guys. 9090. You rerun it once again. This time there will not be any change. Why it's getting restarted? Just a second. I write the correct thing. Here restart HTTP handler, notify. I did not remove the last line. That's the reason why you are getting it. Did you get the point? So this is not handler. I wrote it like a task. Just remove it. I got confused. I did not delete it after copying it. So we already defined it in the handler, right? It was also there out of the handler. That's the reason why it was restarting once again. But now let's test it. It will never change unless something is changed. This is correct. Why? Because if it even does not change, means does not make sense, our configuration will not be applied. Now what? I'll go ahead and I'll modify my playbook with a new port. Let's say this time I'll say 8080. This time config file will be modified, meaning HTTP should get restarted. Port modified, it restarted. You retry once again. This time it will not restart. Why? Because already port was updated. That is what the concept of handlers. So you need to know why, because if you don't use handlers, right, unnecessarily you will go ahead and do all this kind of work there. So that you need to start working with the concept called as handlers. Clear? Yes. Now this is also one of the very important features that you have inside the Ansible patch, right? So anything that you need to run when something changes, keep handlers in the mind, right? Okay. And one more final remaining topic is called as like roles, functions. So tomorrow we'll see how these roles work, what is the concept of Ansible roles, and how you go with the concept called functions that we can identify in the next patch, right? So I hope clear. Yes, I'm like not sure, like you're not having any doubts here, but it's more about practice. You just go ahead and check out each of this file, then start doing the implementation from your part. You'll slowly start getting into this. All right. Okay. So with tomorrow, we'll be done with Ansible. Then next we are going to start with Docker. It deals completely a different problem. We'll see like what problems we have next part. Those problems, how we are going to use Docker to solve them next. All right. Okay. All right. Fine. Yes. Then I'll stop it. In the next session, we'll talk about Ansible. What do you say? Roles. Reusability, yes. So why we use Ansible roles is for reusability part. So we don't want to, what you say, each and every time do the same work. You write it once, use it anywhere. So that's the concept of Ansible roles.